If you want the storyline that could define this NCAA tournament, it might actually be the freshmen. Look at the number one overall seed, the Duke Blue Devils. They're led by freshman superstar Cameron Boozer, who's averaging over 22 points and 10 rebounds a game and is the National Player of the Year favorite. But he's not the only young star in this tournament. At BYU, the Cougars, freshman AJ Dybantsa actually led the entire country in scoring and is projected to be the number one pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Across the bracket, you've got young NBA talent everywhere, transfers, freshmen, future lottery picks. That's why this tournament could be chaos in 2026, because in March Madness, one superstar can really take over a game. And this year, the sport's biggest stars might be teenagers. College basketball's NCAA tournament is going to be a little bit different this year. It just feels different. If you're looking at this year's bracket and thinking this could be one of the best NCAA tournaments in years, you're not alone. And the reason is the tournament has everything that makes March Madness great. You've got elite number one seeds. You have massive NBA talent. You have experienced championship programs and some mid-majors capable of blowing up your bracket in the first weekend. And at the top of the field, the 4 number one seeds are loaded.
Yeah, Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and the Florida Gators. Those are your 4 number one seeds after Selection Sunday over the past weekend. Each of those teams, it has a legitimate case to cut down the nets at the end of this tournament. Duke is led by the best player in the country, Cameron Boozer, who's putting together a historic season, over 22 points and 10 boards per game, while shooting 41% from three-point range. Arizona might be the most balanced team in the field, with 7 players averaging nearly double figures, while Michigan is overwhelming teams with one of the biggest lineups in the country. And don't forget about the Gators. Florida, the defending champs, are peaking at the right time, winning 11 straight games entering the NCAA tournament.
There is star power everywhere. Another reason this tournament is fascinating is the amount of NBA talent in the bracket. Transfers and freshmen have completely reshaped the sport. Michigan's Yaxel Lendeborg is a projected NBA lottery pick and one of the most dominant two-way players in the field. Meanwhile, freshmen are everywhere, like mentioned before. One of the most exciting players in the tournament is AJ Dybantsa at BYU, a freshman who led the nation in scoring and could be the number one overall pick in the 2026 NBA draft. That's the modern NCAA tournament. Young superstars mixed with veteran teams trying to make one last run. And that leads to some very dangerous teams that are outside the top seeds.
Yeah, and now here's the thing that makes March Madness unpredictable. Some of the most dangerous teams aren't even the top seeds. Take Michigan State, for example, the classic Tom Izzo March team. They don't have any NBA lottery picks, but they defend, they rebound, and they play tough. Exactly the kind of team that ends up in the Final Four. Another team to watch, of course, every year is the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They have been elite defensively all year, and if injured star Braden Huff returns, they suddenly become a legitimate Final Four sleeper. And then there are wildcard teams like Nebraska, St. Louis, Utah State, all teams that are very, very capable of busting a bracket very early.
I think on paper, a lot of these mid-major programs have a good chance to make a run. But at the same time, last year there was only 7 first-round upsets. Now, upsets are included in the 8-9 matchups, which are usually kind of coin flip games anyway. I would like to know where these upsets might be in terms of a mid-major program knocking off a Power Four. I think it's going to be very few and far between because, as we have discussed before, the parity in the Power Four there's a lot of parity in the Power Four. It's razor thin, the difference between teams at the top of the Power Four and teams at the bottom of the Power Four. But the biggest difference in disparity between college basketball teams are Power Four teams and mid-major programs. You've seen more Power Four teams get into the NCAA tournament. You saw a lot of them win last year in the early rounds. So from that perspective, I don't know if there's going to be as many upsets. Like, can St. Louis hang with some of the best teams in the country? Can Utah State hang with some of the Power Four programs? That's going to be a big question mark, I think, going into this tournament. But when you look at Power Four schools that might be ranked or getting a 10 seed or maybe a 9 seed or whatever, those are schools that I would be more afraid of to knock off a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 or whatever early in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a bunch of fun teams that are coming out here to San Diego for the first round. We know that we kind of had a feeling that Arizona would be coming out here. They'll be facing the Long Island Sharks in the first game on Friday. Utah State, as we've talked about here, will be playing Villanova here. That'll be a 1:10 start. Northern Illinois will take on St. John's here. Cal Baptist will be taking on Kansas here. That's the nightcap of the 4 games in the first round. So a bunch of big name teams will be coming here to San Diego as well to try to put an end to some of these potential bracket busters, especially that Villanova Utah State game.
Well, I think that game's a great basketball game.
Yes.
Villanova and Utah State, I think, is going to be awesome. I mean, you have a traditional program in Villanova who's won a national championship here. I mean, you have multiple national championship winning programs here in town.
Mm-hmm.
You got Arizona, you got Kansas, you got Villanova, plus you got the St. John's with Rick Pitino. I mean, you have a chance to watch Rick Pitino coach against Bill Self here in San Diego on Sunday if they both advance in their first round game. There's a lot of great storylines with the games here in San Diego. It should be a fun tournament. We're looking forward to talking about it all week. We'll keep you updated.